Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video I have the latest from the live radar. Run for the latest weather warnings. As expected, we do have thunderstorm warnings issued now for the next 3 days. We are going to see multiple batches of severe thunderstorms heading up from the south as we do head into this hot and thundery spell. You've got to notice today quite a lot more humidity around as that warm air is wafted in, and already on the live radar you can see the first batch of instability coming in for the south and the west. Now, the weather warnings at the moment aren't too extensive, and from the looks of the latest runs, I expect, especially the warning on Friday, to be extended further to a larger area, as it was based off the 3 a.m. UKV run, which did have those thunderstorms in a slightly different position. So perhaps updates coming in terms of that. But as I said, it's expected now that we have got those warnings issued. As I said, could be some really quite severe conditions over the coming days. We'll look at that in detail on the latest UKV, and of course have a look at the temperatures as well, because where we avoid thunderstorms, we could see 30 degrees on Friday and Saturday, for eventually we see a bit of a come down through Sunday and Monday. But that slightly fresher feel into the start of next week won't last too long, as we are starting to see confidence within the longer range charts for another push of southerly winds as we head into the middle of next week. As I said, multiple batches of warm air masses wafting in. That's what we thought was going to be entailed for the middle third of June and the second half in general, and that is exactly what we're starting to see reoccurring from those longer range charts. We'll check that out in more detail in the second half of the video. So do remember, if you enjoy the videos, make sure you like and subscribe. Now, if you start on the live radar, you'll notice today it's a much more humid feel out there. Temperatures into the mid-20s. Nothing special. It's a few degrees above average for the time of year, but it's that feel-like temperature, the humidity in the air as the warm air wafted in from the south. Now, the air masses we're going to see tonight are actually incredibly hot, but because they're only passing by, it's not going to propagate all the way to the surface. So at least for the time being, the next day or so, we're not going to see the exceptionally high temperatures though. Friday and Saturday, that's where it could climb quite a lot higher. But what we are going to see over the next 24 hours is some thunderstorms, especially out in the west. And you can already start to see these hefty showers with some embedded thunderstorms heading in from the southwest. At the moment, sat out in the Bay of Biscay, out to the south of the Republic of Ireland and in the English Channel. And progressively over the coming hours, these will move in. As I said, most likely to be heavy showers with embedded thunderstorms. It's not all going to be thunderstorms. You are going to see some rain in the west, but not all areas are going to see the severe conditions. As I said, we'll look at the weather warnings for this in a few moments' time. But already forming out towards the Bay of Biscay, and expecting those to arrive within the next 6 hours or so. Now, I record this around 8 p.m. And you see temperatures tonight are still very warm. First time in a while we've seen some reds, or at least some dark oranges on the charts, indicating temperatures into the mid-20s today, and it will stay mid-20s through Thursday before climbing potentially to 30 degrees on Friday and Saturday. Now, do have a look at the latest weather warnings. We have weather warnings issued for southwest England, most of Wales, and Northern Ireland. Now, this first warning across southwest England and Wales is from midnight tonight until 1 p.m. tomorrow. An area of heavy rain and thunderstorms will move northwards, perhaps leading to some travel disruption in a few places. An area of rain will move northwards across parts of southwest England and Wales during Thursday morning, for clearing later. The rain will be locally heavy with thunderstorms, some areas seeing 10 to 20 millimetres an hour, 30 to 40 millimetres in 3 hours or less. Winds will also be strong at times, perhaps gusting to 40 to 50 mile an hour. So really lively conditions, medium likelihood and lower end of the impact matrix. So some really severe conditions. You see all the regions this is affecting, much of Wales, southwest England, and just a few spots in the West Midlands. Now, we've got the secondary warning issued for Northern Ireland here, and you can see it's for heavy rain and thunderstorms moving northwards across Northern Ireland during Thursday, and may lead to some disruption in places from 6 a.m. until 9 p.m, so slightly later on in the day as those storms move northwards. Very similar here, exactly the same description, expecting very similar conditions. It's just those storms progressing further northwards. Now, into Friday, we have a different warning issued. This is for eastern areas, just for the far east of England from 3 p.m. until 6 a.m. on Saturday. Thunderstorms may bring some disruption during Friday evening and overnight into Saturday. Now, there's a lot of further detail here, but we're not going to go through this in too much detail, because I do suspect this warning will change substantially through tomorrow, just because the latest guidance doesn't just have thunderstorms in the east, it has thunderstorms further westwards as well. So I suspect this warning will be either moved or expanded through tomorrow morning. Warnings normally get updated around 10, 11 a.m. in the morning. So this was updated earlier today. So the 3 p.m. run came out after this, and that latest run has got a much more extensive storm risk. So I suspect this will be updated. So we've got it in force, but we'll have a look at it in a bit more detail through tomorrow when I suspect, as I said, it to be updated and expanded, and it does go into Saturday as well. Now, if you look at the latest UKV, I actually just want to show you the 3 a.m. run before we look at the 3 p.m. run. Just look at the precipitation, especially for Friday night. And that's because I just want to show you why we've seen those weather warnings issued. This is the main run that have contributed to that issuing of those warnings. So you see the storms overnight tonight, mainly areas of heavy rain with embedded thunderstorms again for western parts of England, southwest England, Wales, maybe the West Midlands and Northern Ireland. Some really heavy rain at times. And into tomorrow afternoon, there could be some more isolated storms breaking out across parts of the Midlands, central southern England and the northwest areas not covered by the warning. So could see an expansion even as early as tomorrow morning for these storms. But it's really into Friday. Not too much going on in the day. Some thunderstorms in the north and west. Again, could be a warning issued for that, but they do look fairly isolated. But then it's through Friday evening where you see this big outbreak, this line of storms developing in the east. And this is why that warning was issued in the east. So remember this frame here. Really in the east, some few storms further westwards, but nothing too substantial. But if we have a look at the 3 p.m. run, the latest run, you'll see a different outcome. Now, as we head through this evening, very similar in terms of the storm activity in the western areas. Again, focused very similar spots. You can see a bit of a multi-celled system potentially developing there. A bit of movement spiralling within that. A small low pressure system can form. Again, those are very uncertain and can have some really quite significant impacts towards the centre of that. You see those darker reds are. So that's something to keep an eye on. Hopefully the centre of that system moves through the Irish Sea, so it doesn't impact too many land masses, but we'll have to wait and see. Progressively through Thursday, that rain will clear northwards, giving some heavy rain in places, but for most tomorrow afternoon, it's a sunny day, maybe the few odd clouds and thunderstorms. But it's really into Friday. We see a few odd showers breaking out during the afternoon in the north and west, maybe Northern Ireland, seeing another warning issued there. But through Friday evening, we do see those storms developing in the east, but they're a lot more widespread. We still have those storms in that warning zone, but look at the extension of those storms further westwards, not just focused in the east, focused pretty widespread. And then you can see it's Saturday afternoon, widespread scattered storms as well. So a risk there of further activity for the westerly winds move in. So if we just recall back to that 3 a.m. run from this morning, completely different scenario here for only 3 days' time, or under 3 days' time, under 72 hours' time. So it just shows you how much uncertainty there is in these convective storms. So that's why I suspect that warning will be updated. Simply looking at this run, we'd expect it to be extended a lot further westwards. You can see no severe impacts coming in around that Portsmouth, Southampton, Isle of Wight area. That's nowhere near the warning zone at the moment. As I said, I suspect that will be updated in the morning. And if you look at the max temperature, see this afternoon, widely into the low to mid 20s. A warm day, but nothing too special. Into Thursday, slightly higher, 23 to 27. But again, it all depends on the cloud and showers in the west, affecting those temperatures further westwards. Into Friday, temperatures could be even higher, 27 to 30 degrees. Again, will depend on shower and storm activity, isolated storm activity during the day. And the same could be said for Saturday. Temperatures not dropping much overnight, very humid. Could be some issues sleeping. And then into the afternoon, again, temperatures widely low to mid 20s, could even get towards 30 degrees in the Far East. But we still just about hang on to that very hot air. So again, we'll have to wait and see for some further details nearer the time. And then into Sunday, still warm, but more towards the high teens or low 20s, maybe a top temperature of 25. And the same could be said for Monday, looking at 25, 26. So not turning cool by any means, just not quite as oppressive for most Sunday, Monday, before we could see another ramp up as we head into the middle of next week. And we can see that now from the latest GFS. And you can see the combination of high pressure to our east, low pressure to our west, bringing southerly winds and instability, thunderstorms over the next couple of days. A westerly wind arrives for Sunday, Monday, but eventually high pressure builds back in with another southerly flow come the middle to end of next week. And what we see is another waft of very warm air from the south, 15 degree isoferm returning. Again, not dominating for more than 2 or 3 days, but nonetheless still there for eventually more of a westerly flow re-emerges. But it stays warm and hopefully more of a drier southerly push there into next week. This is only 7, 8, 9 days away, so strong confidence starting to appear for this. If we compare to the GM, it's probably very similar. We see low pressure involved over coming days, high pressure eventually building in for next week, and again got that southerly wind come the middle of the end of next week. Again, another waft of very warm air, 15 degree isotherm moving in. Slight difference though, a bit more in the way of instability just out to our west, and again temperatures would be very high 20s, maybe 30 degrees, but there could be increased cape starting to drift in from the west, and maybe some showers and storms. So again, we'll have to wait and see. A bit more low pressure influence there. So still those details will need to be refined, but very similar with that southerly push. And finally, if we compare to the latest ECM WF, again, that westerly flow arriving for a bit on Sunday, Monday, eventually high pressure building in with another southerly flow, looking warm, very warm perhaps, and dry with that 15 degree isotherm re-emerging. So all 3 runs getting 15 degree isotherm in by the end of next working week. But again, small little low pressure system to our west that could, as I said, bring back some more showers and storms. That's something to keep a close eye on. Now, to finish by looking at the ensemble, see very warm over the next couple of days, big spikes in those upper air temperatures, but you can see the spikes appearing for Friday night, some ridiculously big spikes, off the chart spikes, again all convection based, so it's going to be highly variable. A matter of miles will make a difference between multiple inches of rain and very little. That's what can happen in these sort of scenarios, but you can see some areas are going to see some exceptional conditions through Friday night. Drop off Sunday, Monday, you see that just dropping back towards average, and then a rise again into next week, and you see those spikes starting to appear, mostly from the operational and control run, but also from other ensemble members starting to touch on this for around 7, 8, 9 days time, as we do start to see another push of southerly winds. The most important thing, in my opinion, though, is beyond Saturday, it's pretty dry for a good 5-6 day period, which is a real bonus. So regardless of those temperatures, even if they're only slightly above average, 24, 25 degrees, it's going to be dry, which makes the sort of conditions much better than 30 degrees and storms, at least in my opinion. 2 meter temperatures spiking over the next couple of days, but very up and down, pretty consistently in the mid-20s over the next few days. So it could just rise to 30 degrees in a couple of the better days, could drop to more 21, 22 in some of the worst days. But overall, a very warm theme for the foreseeable future. And if you do check out the latest ensembles in the ECMWF, broadly very similar, big spike in the upper air temperature over the next couple of days with a spike in precipitation, slightly cooler Sunday, Monday, with dropping precipitation for much of next week, and then again rising upper air temperatures, potentially looking at another spike of heat around the 20th of June onwards, again agreeing with the GFS and the GEM operational runs. So a very warm spell coming up over the next couple of weeks. Might not reach heatwave thresholds, I think, at the moment, because of the up and down nature in these temperatures. There are multiple kind of southerly pushes. I think it's unlikely we actually reach proper heatwave levels, because remember, we have to exceed thresholds 3 days on the trot, and for London that's 28 degrees. So I've got no doubt we'll get to 28 degrees, probably for multiple days in the next week or so, but I doubt they'll be consecutive. And if they are consecutive, it won't be everywhere. It's not going to be widespread. So technically speaking, there could be some heat waves out there over the next week or so, but it's not a classic heat wave where all areas are 30 degrees over the next few days. It's going to be very variable, so because of all those storms. That's going to be a real focus over the next day or two. As we can see from the latest UKV, still quite a lot of uncertainty. I suspect we'll see an update in those weather warnings, and I'll bring that to you in tomorrow's video. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.